And
I
that
got a
was
little butt in my chin.
butt face.
Shut up! I didn't know we were starting again.
Hello and welcome to the Quackcast. This is Quackcast number 337, I believe. Yes, it is. It's the AmeliaP Quackcast. AmeliaP, who's the artist and writer behind the comic King's Club, which is a reference to also a club of
Kings,
yeah, and the cards. Like a King of Clubs. Very careful, very clever, I should say, not careful. So we've got everyone on board today. Tan Serene, hello Tans.
Hello.
Hello, we got the lugubrious Pitface. Hello, Pit.
This isn't my house.
And we have the loquacious Baines.
Hi.
That's not loquacious. You don't know what it means. I mean, I should have given Tance a name. What
Give
should I?
Tance all the big words because
I
Bates
don't
and I
think-
don't know what they mean.
The egregious
Exactly.
Tance.
Oh, that's not a good.
I feel like I'm sitting the proficiency vocabulary exam again.
So we're going to be, this is a strange thing. So we've interviewed AmeliaP. I asked her questions, and she wrote back. So we're going to read her interview and read my interview questions because she wasn't comfortable in her English speaking because she's Brazilian, actually. So, yeah, she speaks Portuguese, and she wasn't comfortable enough in her phrasings to be able to talk comfortably. Which
If
is
you want
fine.
Brazilian nuts, that's where you go.
What's that?
I said if you want Brazilian nuts, that's where you go.
That's it. That's
Probably.
where you went Brazil nuts. And everything else Brazilian. I can't think. What? Mardi
Me
Gras?
neither. I can't think of another. Yeah. That's it.
The big Jesus statue. You know, the ones with the arms.
The Eiffel Tower, I want to say.
The Empire State Building. Yeah.
Yes.
So how is this going to work? You're just going to kind of read it out and we just kind of sit and we watch.
Yeah.
You guys are going to take turns being Amelia. What's that, Tans?
So you get to be the interviewer and read your own lines, and we get to read hers, right?
Exactly, but not in funny voices this time. Only your own funny voices. Because we're not making AmeliaP out to be a funny voiced person. We're being good. Okay.
She's a real person, guys.
Exactly, not
Yeah.
like those commenters like Bravo and all that. She's real.
All those fake people.
Okay. So, I've got to introduce the featured comic. So the featured comic for the week was Zinc Comics. And take it away, Zinc Comics. Hello, I'm Ozone Ocean, and my feature for the week was Zinc Comics. Zinc Comics is all about Japanese death poems called Jisei, or Jisei, I'm not sure how you pronounce it. Each poem consists of 3 pages, 1 page for each line of the poem, and all the syllables on each page add up to 17. The haiku form of the Jisei. Each poem is listed with a number, and the number of pages is listed either A, B, or C in order. They're very cleverly done. It's quite a silently contemplative sort of comic, because it's a death poem, obviously. They're all paired with life drawings of people's faces, drawn with charcoal. Each new poem is paired with 3 different views of the same person, and the next one features a new person, and so on. This is a very unusual sort of comic to feature. I hope you enjoy it, read it, and contemplate on eternity. Now, Zinc Comics is done by a fellow called Zinc Comics, and it's rated E for everyone, because this is pretty safe and no need to worry.
And yeah, I hope you enjoy this. You just read it, and it's because of the way it goes, with one line of each poem on each page, you can slowly go through it, but it's quite compelling because it's only one line, so you want to read the next one, and the next one, and the next one. And because of the way it's got life drawings of these people, you look at them and you sort of form an idea of what the line means. It sort of gives you another perspective on what the line and the whole poem itself is saying. So I hope you enjoy it. They're called Zinc Comics. So read it.
And that was Zinc Comics. Okay, all right. So now, next up, we have the featured music that Gumwallace has given us. And this week, Gumwallace has given us the theme to Abietas, I believe that word is called.
Gentil Abiletas. Luetas. What? Abieta?
Alouette. That's exactly what came to my mind as well.
Hey. Well, maybe I'm pronouncing it wrong.
About clacking a no.
Or maybe it's Abietas? I'm not. It means bees in Spanish. There you go.
Well, what can we expect from you when you're a representative of Trump's America, Oz?
That's it. Yeah. I mean, it's going to be great.
Abeitas?
It's going to be big.
Abeitas?
Abietas.
Abietas.
That's how it looks spelled.
Yeah,
How it appears to be spelled.
Abejitas.
We're funny. Everybody thinks we're funny.
Yeah,
Hilarious,
I think
guys.
we're. Yeah.
Okay,
we're
so
being
Gumwallace's
embarrassing.
theme is for Baines.
Huh?
Gumwallace's theme is for
Abejitas.
this tune bounces in like a wild thing, spinning and buzzing crazily. It's full of black, striped yellow techno, sweet honey madness, and rapid wing beats of energy. This will sting you into full awareness. So take it away, Mr. Gumwallace. Take it away. And that was Abietas. Okay, so the Quackcast about AmeliaP. I keep thinking of Amelia Earhart every single time. I just picture her with goggles on and a flying jacket.
I like
And disappearing
that
forever.
name. If I were going to have a baby, I would name it Amelia just for that, so she could disappear.
So she, on her first birthday, she's gone. She's in her flying jacket and she's away. Never to be seen again.
Oh, caca, caca.
Oh, all right. AmeliaP flew in, and she's flown into the studio, and she's taking the form of one of you guys. So I'm going to ask the question, and who should I get to answer? She's done it in 3 parts, actually, so one of you guys can take turns. Let's see. Eeny, meeny, miny, mo. Ah, damn it. I'm going to pick Baines. Okay. So, Amelia, your name is Amelia Piossa, but you go by Amelia Wu for your US work. Why is that?
Because when people read my work in America, they always go, "Woo!" That's not the real answer. What she actually
It's a
says
sound. It's a sound when the breeze takes a wrong turn up your skirt.
You need to pronounce her surname Pessoa or something like that.
is
There's no I in
You're right, Pessoa. Amelia Pessoa.
it. Okay.
To stop being smart.
She says, thanks to my grandmother, who changed the surname when her family was running away from Spain. I have a Portuguese surname. Ha Woo. Like any kid, I started to draw comics in manga style. One of my first jobs in the inside industry was manga, but in that time the audience had a rage against any Western trying to do a manga. So I chose a name from a director I grew up watching, who's a director who I grew up watching his movies, John Woo. I know it's Chinese. Yeah, cool. When I saw Woo, the first thing I thought of was John Woo. She says,
Yeah, me too.
She's like, I know it's Chinese, not Japanese, but it was an Eastern name at least. After that, I did some important jobs under this name. So for publishers to track me, I had to keep this. Slowly, I'm trying to be me and erasing this surname from the industry.
Interesting.
Yeah.
That's a good opening question because it kind of helps you to understand that, you know, when somebody adopts a different name in the beginning and how it can become kind of detrimental, or how, you know, it might change as you go along, but you still might have the
legacy.
the legacy of that name as it goes along. So I'm already kind of reeled into this. Not that you haven't read it already. We haven't read it already.
So pit face. So you have the same kind of thing because you're pit face as well in your in at least here. So and yeah, I'm ozone Baines. Yeah, so we've all got our number plumes that we're stuck with. So we're not we have the same kind of thing. It's interesting.
Yeah.
Okay, so I asked another question. And I said, okay, so you've had a lot of work professionally in comic publishing. How did you break into that? I'm assuming you are Brazilian. Was it hard to break into the US market from outside like that?
Is someone else going, or am I just going again?
I'll go. My Glasshouse Graphics portfolio, Comic Vine portfolio, and Comic DB are way too outdated. I have more works on my belt than that. After a boring experience from a 9-to-5 job in my college days, I pretty much decided it's my path, so I stepped into the comics industry. I believe in the momentum, so everything I should do is just to start. But before I enter into the comics world, I searched for the easiest way to enter. There were too many barriers to writers, besides the language, and their salary was horrible. And I didn't want to tell a story about the universe and characters from other creators. It's hard for me having the same agenda. I had to enter on it one way or another. So I improved my art skill enough to be paid for it because I really wanted to be a professional visual storyteller. Parentheses, bachelor degree in arts at one of the best colleges in my country, doing a lot of professional projects to train myself. All of those things. End of parentheses. Yeah, I'm Brazilian, believe it or not. We must be around 30% of the U.S. comic book artistic force, yeah. Brazilians are like doppelgangers, with Italian, German, Japanese, and other surnames. Even a Brazilian doesn't know if you are Brazilian by surname. Pretty different from my case, but if it wasn't for my grandma, you could think I'd be Spanish or Mexican. I found many artists I didn't know were Brazilian before, like Greg Tocino, forgive me if I mispronounced that, and others. I think it's hard to break into the U.S. market, no matter the country an artist comes from. Even for a North American, it's a hard task, unfortunately. Many factors make this a hard task, since the unstable incoming from the social contempt. You know, most parents want your kids to grow up to be a doctor or lawyer, etc. Parents encourage their children to get into arts or writing as a hobby, usually. And that's a good point.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
It's really interesting that there are so many foreign writers and artists in the American market. That is just amazing. I didn't even think that at all. That's really interesting, and the salary is better for artists than it is for writers. That's something else I didn't know. That is amazing.
Yeah, that's actually quite true.
Wow.
Writers get the short end of the stick. Usually, they are also invisible. So there's that.
Okay. I thought people really loved their favorite writers and stuck with them.
Yeah, that surprises me quite a lot, actually.
Ah.
I think it's more a thing of visual narrative works, in the sense that comics and movies and everything, you get more of an impression of the comic artist than the comic writer if they are separate. And the same goes for movies. Like, very few people would wonder who the script writer was for a particular movie.
That's true.
As opposed to the director, for example.
That's true, and there's often a number of writers. There's not just the big headline ones. It usually passes through like many writers before the last people sort of have their finishing touch, or there's lead writers or whatever. So yeah. That's interesting.
And actually, that is also something that you want to look at for a good estimation of whether the script will be well done or not. If you have more than two writers officially billed in a movie, you have to be a little bit worried, because it means that there are at least another 4 or 6 that haven't been billed and also haven't been paid, and everyone has tried to change the script enough so that they will.
They will get
so that
paid.
means that the story gets thrown out of the window because everyone is trying to make a living out of this. So you want at most 2, not more than that, and there you have. That's a little bit of a
inside take. Oh my god.
Yeah.
From your perspective, yeah.
All right, so we go on. What was your first professional comic? Tance.
I had a double debut, a one-shot at Yaoi Press. Yeah, it was my first manga experience, Yaoi. All right. I hope that's how it's pronounced. Not my cup of tea. But hey, I like to see Bara guys in beautiful drawings, and some pages in the Avengers special edition to military forces.
Wow. Jeez. So,
and that doesn't seem all that uncommon either. I mean, like, for people really trying to get into the workforce and stuff, outside of Drunk Duck and stuff like that, it seems like a lot of times you kind of do have to take some, kind of lewd projects and stuff. Not to say that was necessarily lewd, but more like, I remember when I used to work for this isn't my fucking interview, but when I used to work for a guy, Gilchrist, or train under him, there was somebody who called in, with a job that he didn't want to fill. It was some kind of boss guy screwing his secretary, and that shit came in all the time, man. That was a lot of shit that came in. It was just, people wanting, draw my sex comic. So part of me, I mean, We might all end up as sex comic workers one day just to kind of break in, but like,
That's where yeah.
you know, but you can still have fun with them. Like, for example, like the old Zolta comics and stuff like that. So hopefully they'll be fun and they'll be less intrusive. Anyway, go on. So it's
interesting.
Yowie.
Yeah.
Yowie. All right.
Because maybe it was fun. I don't know. Anyway,
she says she likes to see Barra guys, which I don't really know what that means, but you know.
Me neither.
Okay.
Capybara?
Manga thing.
Capybara. That's a Brazilian thing, isn't it? Okay. So I asked her, how long have you been in the industry?
I'll take this one.
I'll take it. Oh,
Let me feel this one.
okay.
I'm not in the industry, Oz. I thank you not to rub it. Oh, wait, you're not asking me. She says, about 12 years.
Wow. So Baines is here to take on the heavy lifting. Thank Christ. 12, that's a long time. That's pretty good. Drunk Duck's been around longer, but no.
Your mom's been around longer.
I think Drunk Duck's been around about as much time. How long's Drunk Duck been around? Since... Oh, yeah.
More than 10 years.
Yeah, more than 10.
I think I've been on it for like 10 years, I think.
14?
Or no.
Yeah.
I joined in 2006, and it had already been through one major hiccup that I hadn't experienced.
Yeah.
Two?
Or maybe more. Yeah, it started in 2002, actually. Yeah, so there we are. That's a long time. I wasn't even there then. Okay, so then I asked her, is it hard work? Pitt.
Okay. Hell yeah. This isn't for weaklings. You have to work under pressure. Parentheses, if you don't meet the deadline day, that super expensive booth from your client will suffer. End parentheses. Long hours working long hours keeps you away from other people between 10 to 16 hours daily, rare days off. Plus, the financial instability makes an artist a financial wizard or a control freak of his or her own finances. No health insurance in America's, parentheses, different from Germany. The estate gives a health insurance for a certified artist, and parentheses.
Wow.
It isn't a glamorous life people think it is, but I prefer to endure all these things than staying in a job I don't have a slight affinity for. Yeah. So, yeah, I think that's what brings a lot of us to this kind of thing, too, isn't it? Like, you don't want to work the 7-11 job at night all the rest of your life, so you kind of look for another outing, and you have creativity, and creativity can blossom to so many directions, so you have hope that maybe one day you will become better. But the thing is, if you don't continue working on that creativity, if you just kind of produce something now and then and don't work on it at all to become any better, that's not going to go anywhere either. You need to have passion towards one way or another.
That's true.
So that's my drunken anti-Deidre ranting, my anti-Pit face
Mm-hmm.
rant. So.
It sounds incredibly sober, actually.
Did it? Thank you. I think the more I drink, the more sober I become. That's how colds work, right? Like if you drink while you have a cold, like you just become more sober than when you woke up and all the snot was in your eyeballs.
Could be.
I think that's exactly right. Yes.
Let's do that. I'm going to get another beer after this. Let's go. Let's keep going.
Get even more sober. Yeah.
So
the most sober.
Next, I asked her, so why did you embark on a video game version of your work? Please tell us about the game.
Ooh, I didn't know about that.
Chance. Your turn.
Games are my passion since my childhood. I think it's one of the greatest media you can tell a story in, because the player has feedback in real time in a deeper layer. Also, I'm a hardcore gamer, but being a player and being a developer are two different things. After testing the waters, I discovered I like it much more than playing a game. My preferred genre is the third-person shooter, and I was pretty unsatisfied about games with the same gameplay being reproduced over and over again. So I had a vision. After I established the main gameplay, I thought about using one of my ready-to-use stories, and King's Club fits well. So I polished the gameplay from the idea, and I finished with something like that, like the following. PC third-person adventure shooter with 4 general skills and a cover system in a non-linear open level, facing the enemies on your own terms and pace. This first mission takes on Mexico. The player has to discover where the narcos are, taking them off the hideouts, picking a fight or provoking them until they lead to their leader. Exploration and combat mixed into an experimental hybrid game genre. The player's skills are based on playing card suits. Hearts equals stealth and infiltration. Spades equals assault. Club equals escape and extraction. Diamonds equals protection and scout. The player character will be announced in the last chapter of the comic book. That's why I'm rushing to finish the graphic novel and go back to the game. I'm dealing with a limited time. I'm still a comic book artist as my day job. That's an amazing phrase to be able to actually use.
Yeah.
Before focusing on the graphic novel, I was building the levels to send to testers before exposing it to the public. Open parenthesis, the internet is a goddamn viral thing. If you put an ugly video from your game any place online, it can spread, and your first time to impress will be compromised. I saw it happen to some game developer buddies of mine, with people downloading their work in progress videos and posting online. It isn't fair.
Yeah, that's another pitfall, isn't it? I mean,
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Oh, I hear my own echo. Oh, that's gross.
It's not
But anyway.
amazing.
But yeah, like first impression is everything, especially with something so high stakes as a game, and you've got maybe a week or two, the first week or two that game comes out. It's like, if you don't get the right welcome for it, then you're kind of fucked.
The debut of your game has to be really pretty and look fantastic, or else you're buggered. But this is a sort of a golden time for game producers because they can release through Steam, so you don't have to have a big publisher behind you anymore like you used to. So
yeah,
you can. There's a lot of creator developer, in the industry now, which is a good thing. You can do really, really interesting games. I've heard of so many of them, and they get buzz behind them from the blogs and from the game sites, and they can get big. And she's got this comic behind it, which gives it a bit more promotion. She doesn't just have to post it through Drunk Duck to get the following. She can have that comic anywhere, and that will hopefully get her some buzz behind the thing and help promote the game. It sounds really interesting too. I like those third person or first person shooters, whatever it is. What did she say? Third person?
Third person. So you probably can see the entire character.
Yeah. And I like those ones. And when they've got a story, they're even better than just the just going around shooting and that's all it is. So it's more like Mass Effect or something like that. How groovy. All right.
Groovy.
My next question was, why did you choose Drunk Duck to host King's Club on, and what do you think? What do you...
No,
you
skipped that.
No, it's not. You skipped one, number 7.
Did I? Okay. So, what kind of work are you doing on the game? Did you have to learn any new skills to be able to do it? Okay.
Well, other than music, soundtrack, voices, everything.
Wow.
From programming to animation. I'm still in solo production. It's a small, indie, and short introductory game in the series. No big shot here. This first game is a practice to understand the players, the marketing, and how to deal with big operations in the future, and test my skills as a game designer and level designer. I just want to know what areas I'm a failure, and in what areas I have to hire new members for the next game. I can finish the first game in solo mode, but I'm not sure if I want to. Slowly, I'm changing my mind and considering bringing investors to build a small team after I finish the demo. Wow. After the demo game launching, I'll be sure of what path I have to take. Did I learn any new skills? I did, a lot of them. I still think one of the hardest things a person can do is a video game. So many hats to use. I spent the past 5 years studying how to do a game before thinking about doing one, and the basic skills. Now I'm putting the things together. I have to bring testers to adjust the gameplay rhythm. Game developers say you must have a tester for day one usually, or from day one usually, but I had to learn how to make a functional game before someone tested it.
Wow. That's incredible.
Like this.
Wow.
Reading this kind of makes me want to try and go out and make a video game. Like, I like the way she goes about this. She knows what she has to do and stuff. And I even like the lingo that she uses in it, like in solo mode. Like,
yeah.
She can finish the game in solo mode. Like, finishing the game itself is almost a game. Like, that's cool, dude.
Like, creating it is the game. It's incredible. I'll hire her to be the boss of Drunk Duck, and she can take my job and fix up the whole site. I reckon she could do it.
She's probably cuter than you are, so.
And that's the most important thing. No, yeah, I reckon that is the kind of like go-getter skills. Someone who can like project manage, wear all the different hats, has the drive to be able to do. That's fantastic. She's gonna do big things. So I asked her, why did you choose to host on Drunk Duck for King's Club, and what do you think? What did you think of the theme music that Gunwallace did for it? What's the story behind your potato avatar? She's got an avatar which is a potato with like a swimming mask on and a face drawn on it. All right, who did I
Hello?
pick?
Yeah.
Hello, Pitt. Can you hear me, Pitt? I think
it's frozen.
Oh yeah, she was. Yeah.
Pitt has frozen. All right, Tance, you can take question 8.
Okay. When I decided King's Club would be digital first, I started to search for cool webcomics hosting. I was shocked I didn't find a place where a non-manga-esque title could find its audience. The internet is totally dominated by its visual style. I like manga too, but guys, come on, it's like a zombie attack. I was desolated. Ironic, isn't it? My agent oriented me. I had to adapt myself or I wouldn't survive in the early days. He was right. In the printed realm, if I hadn't adapted myself from manga to something more naturalistic or stylized, more towards realism, my career would have sunk. And online, we have this. I was unmotivated to release King's Club online and almost contacting publishers and some buddy editors for a printed edition, forgetting going digital first. When I remembered Drunk Duck, a decade ago or so, before being a comic book professional, I was a Drunk Duck member. No bullshit, but this was the place which motivated me to follow a professional path. That's amazing. Here was the place I exercised my art. I did a fanzine at the time. That was about Warcraft. I mirror King's Club to other hosting sites, but Drunk Duck is one of my favorites. I consider it a house for King's Club. One of the reasons I like Drunk Duck is because there are readers and creators with a wide taste here. Well, I read all comics, Eastern and Western, so I don't understand limited preferences to visual style. For me, the story comes first. And then the other story is what the question was about Gunwallace. The theme he did was perfect, with an urban and gritty touch. I love it. I found it so amazing that I asked his permission to add this theme in the game. He was so nice. He not only didn't ask for payment or royalties and gave me the permission, but he also offered me to rearrange the theme if it is necessary.
Wow.
Because he's awesome.
Yeah.
And then
He is awesome.
the potato avatar, even when he has quotes, even when something is considered low quality, this thing can produce cool results. Or another quote, never ever underestimate someone. It is a letter of love to indie production, and it's a real photo I took from a potato with a toy military helmet, because it had to be a real thing.
That's brilliant. Oh my god.
I love it, man.
It's so cool.
Man, this is someone, you know what impresses me about her? She seems like someone who has her mission in mind. And I really like that. That's really cool.
Yeah, she
Like,
really
there's
does.
so much you have to do. You can't just post on Drunk Duck. As much as I love Drunk Duck, it's an awesome community, but you can't just post on Drunk Duck and hope that you get noticed. Especially, you can't just post a few times a week and hope you get noticed. That's not going to work. Post on Drunk Duck, it'll get you a community, a following. You know, it'll get you kind of an insider thing. But if you want to break out, you have to do so much more than that. You have to just don't be afraid to put your work out there. And once you decide on what part of your artistry you want to put out there, your inner soul, your being, how you want to express yourself, you have to just put it out. Go on all sorts of forums and post your work and say, here I am, find a following. That's how I got included in the work for The Dead. And, you know, submit your portfolio to things, all sorts of things. You never know who is watching and who's willing to pick you up. So don't limit yourself to Drunk Duck, although it's not I hate to call it a limitation. It's not, but just put yourself out there. So I just kind of hijacked the end of that. But
No, that was good.
But what I'm saying is I agree with her 100%, and I adore her spirit for doing this, because I think that's kind of what separates whether you make it or not. And as somebody who hasn't made it technically, if I was more like her, we would all have made it if that's what we wanted to go for.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, that's true. That's very true.
Yeah, she is driven, which is fantastic. So next I asked her, what are the materials and or programs that you use to make your art? Baines.
My Wacom Intuos Pro, Photoshop CS2, old stuff, Sculptress, Blender, and an old version of 3ds Max. I'm a goddamn fast 3D modeler, and I take advantage of it, doing some background with 3D, and sometimes I do freehand. It depends how many times a background will be present in the story. I modeled New York Central Park Belvedere Castle in some hours when it was present in an entire issue of Gates of Midnight.
Wow.
It saved me days and days of work. But my analogical arsenal is pen, pencil, paper, brush, and ink. My favorite technique. If I have to color on paper, I like acrylic, gouache, I don't know what that is, and watercolor. Good.
No,
Gouache. Well, hey, it's easy. You don't have to say that.
Wow.
Watercolor. I love Prismacolor markers too.
Okay, so gouache is a kind of, it's used to be known as poster paint. It's a really thick watercolor, and it's used for, because it's got high opacity, whereas the word gauche is French for something that's crap.
You're gauche, Baines. I'm kidding. You're my favorite gauche, though.
Oh, thank you. I hope I didn't scare you with my hauntings. Oh, wait, I got confused again.
Yeah, that's she is amazing with all the different tools she uses. So Photoshop CS2, which is it's an earlier version now because we're up to, I don't know, CS infinity
6,
now. But yeah, so CS2 is an older version. And her like she used 3D models a whole bloody castle in order to use that in her artwork. That's incredible.
That is pretty cool.
It saves time, but you have to. It takes a lot of time to create that. You have to have a lot of guts and ability in order to go for that and think, you know, I'm going to save time by creating this, or you know, you could end up like. For me, it'd be I'd spend a year creating this thing out of 3D and think, now that was to save 5 minutes on a page. Damn it, one page it appeared on. But I created the whole thing. So yeah, that takes a lot of gumption. So next I asked her, a great big long question. Do you prefer analog or digital methods of creation? Pen and ink versus Wacom tablet and a computer. That's what I asked.
Since I fell out for that time, I'll take the next like 3 ones, so that's fine. Ooh. Okay. Oh. You like me when I'm drunk. All right. She says, despite being faster on paper and ink, I prefer a digital way to save paper and storage space.
I agree with that. Yeah, I do the same thing. I draw much better with paper and ink even now, but the more you draw, the more bloody the stacks of it you get, like in drawers. Where do you put it all? Like you fill up drawing books one after another, and you know drawers. And where do you guys put all your drawings? Do you have like
I burn them.
Literally, you burn.
I actually used to have an actual chest, like those old treasure chest style.
Okay.
Boxes.
Oh yeah, one of those.
And then Long John Silver went and stole it.
In there, yeah. And now I have just tossed the whole thing, and I can't draw on paper and pencil as often anymore because my eyes hate me. So I need to have everything blown up like 400% in order to be able to focus on and be able to actually see something. And unless I'm rested, then I have this this sketchbook, and it's like it's a book, so it's in a bookcase. So that's that.
Oh, how cool! So you're
Uh,
a digital
yeah.
monkey. Okay, Baines, what's your?
I kind of go back and forth when I'm working on ideas, like I have been for almost a year now. It's almost all just on paper and pencil. So I have stacks of papers, and then, twice a year I go through, which I'm doing right now, and sort of get rid of all the useless stuff. And there's just tons of it. Yeah.
You actually get rid of your things.
Yeah, eventually. Like I
burn them
really
like
like it,
does.
most of it at first, and then I try to, like later I can look at it more objectively and get rid of a lot of the stuff that I don't need or that isn't really that good, or it's just kind of planning stuff.
Yeah, I've kept all mine. I've got like years worth of drawings and paintings and
That's a good idea.
that I didn't even know anymore. I look at it and think, wow, someone else did this. I think, well, I was so much better when I was like 17 years old.
And I gave a damn.
Yes, when I was fresh and full of life. Now I'm a dried old husk like Pitface. Damn it.
Hey, drink as much fucking whiskey as me and you'll be dried out in no time. Sandy is shit.
I'm joking. Pitface is next to AmeliaP and Tance as being my heroes of go-getting people, doing everything. And Baines as well, living the dream, going for it.
Sure.
You guys are fantastic. All right, so next up I asked her, how long does it take to make a comic page? That's a typical kind of question. How long does it take you to make a comic? I should have asked you.
Shut up!
So how do you get your ideas? All right, Pete. So, how do you get your ideas?
It depends on the genre and audience my client is aiming for. But it demands a crazy detailed artwork. When it demands crazy detailed artwork, it took me around 2 days to finish a page. For my simplified and neo-noir King's Club comic, it took around 1 to 3 hours, parentheses, but much more time to think how the page will look, how the page will look, close parentheses.
Wow. Did you, 2 to 3 hours? What the hell?
Oh my God, that's astronomical for me. Like, I don't think this has ever happened.
1 to 3 hours.
Not once.
That's even my simplest pages where I go, okay, I'm only doing one single panel for this page, and that's all. And that'll take me a day. That's my that'll be hyper speed. It'll take me a day, and it takes me 3 days.
Wow. Yeah.
Oh,
Wow.
God. That's amazing.
I think the only page that ever took me 2 hours or 3 hours was that the very first page of Wolf, when I was not actually aware I was making a page at all.
You
It's that
accidentally
bad.
made a page.
Yeah, it's this level of bad, and that took 3 hours, I think.
Which doesn't necessarily mean that a small amount of artwork is a small time for artwork turnout is bad. You guys should try the 24-hour
Yeah. 24-hour
Challenge.
comic? Yes.
Yeah. It kind
24-hour
of forces
page
you to
challenge.
be like, no, because seriously, because it kind of forces you to be like, all right, well, I'm not going to spend a total ton amount of time on a page. You're just going to kind of whip it out. And it's interesting to see what you come out with. You should try it.
You had done that?
I tried. I failed, but it was pretty cool still.
I did it 1 year too. Yeah, I did the same. I tried it a few years ago already, but I didn't finish the whole 24 pages. But I got in maybe a little more than half.
Yeah.
And it was fun. Yeah, it was really cool.
It's pretty neat.
During one
The
of the-
Dethroned comic I have is what came out of that 24-hour
Oh, wow.
comic. So each of those pages were made within an hour. So they're not super pretty, but I still kind of like how they turned out. So it kind of forces you to do with the most that you have with what little you have and the amount of time that you have. It's pretty cool.
Yeah, you will sort of rationalize and budget everything according to what you have available.
When does that? What month does that thing come around again? I don't remember.
I don't know. Let's do it now.
You could do
Yeah,
it
let's do it.
anytime.
No,
Get the whole site doing it. You can do it
Do it
anytime,
now.
really.
We
We'll
had,
get off the
we had
Just now, just abandon the Quackcast.
back in the
Important.
Wowio days of Drunk Duck, they had a whole big live broadcast, so they had that simulcasting video on the front page of Drunk Duck of people doing the comic book challenge.
Wow, that's kind of cool.
And we could you could dial into the video feed and talk to the guys and everything. And I made a hat that year for that's because I didn't want to do a comic, so I made a fur hat.
Well, I'll make a hat.
Yeah. And it took me less than 24 hours, so suck it, you comic
There you
people.
go.
Suck it, you come. Oh my god, this quarter's from 1967.
What?
This quarter's from 1967.
That
I
means
was
it's made of
coloring.
gold and it's worth $1 million. That's like a Bitcoin.
Worth
you know?
more than your life. It's more than your life.
That's a Bitcoin. And you just draw on it. Now it's worth nothing, Pitt. How do you feel, you idiot?
I feel good.
It's a
I've done
Bitcoin.
my thing. All right. So
All right.
I'll read this last one out here because
All right, I'll
ducked
read the
out
question
before.
first. So
Okay.
I asked her, what is your comic making process like? I.e., coming up with a script, plots, characters, etc. How does creation...
The creation of a comic for yourself differ for your, I don't know.
From
How does-
your professional jobs. Thank you, Pitt. You phrased it better than I
Yes.
could. I did.
Yeah, I don't know. I just talk. Okay. But she's not just talking. She says, like a bull in a china shop. For publishers, I read the script and start to walk around my house, thinking and evoking images in my mind before going to paper. I try to remember all references the audience is used to the thing I'm working and extract something they can relate to, but done in my way. After that, I start the thumbnails, defining the composition and keeping the author's storytelling in mind. Then I do the layout when it's a new client, or I go to the inking part if it's a client who already knows me and my modus operandi. I do the thing and wait for the editor to follow up. Isn't that everybody? I do the thing and wait for the editor to follow up. I like that. If I have the green light, I send the high resolution to the editor. If not, I fix what has to be fixed. Usually, I don't have to change drawing more than 2 times. With the most of part of doing no changing in the drawing. It sounds methodical, but as I said, it's like a bull in a china shop, with all those steps happening at once, in high speed in my mind. Sometimes I stop everything and study another technique to improve my results.
Wow.
Simply. When I'm creating my own comic, it's an entirely different story. That's the moment I am the storyteller. My steps to create this graphic novel were: 1. World creation, following by characters creation. Polishing the background first. Everything had to be connected for me, established from the visual part. Then plot overview. Some research from real or fictional events to thicken the story. Book time. Blackwater and Rainbow Six were 2 different examples used as documentary and fiction work I'm referring to. Then breaking plot into arcs. Then check the consistency. Then breaking arcs into scenes. Then check the pace, overhauling the ideas. Then breaking the scenes into micro points, dealing with dialogues. Then come back again and adjust the pace, having the whole picture in mind. Then thumbnails associated with the script, checking the scenes rhythm while I'm doing the whole chapter. Sometimes I have no change. Sometimes Sometimes I have to change something in a previous chapter or in the next chapter to create a solid link. Then draw directly to the digital paper with minimum sketching. Then color time. Then lettering. Sometimes I check again the dialogue. Sometimes I check the dialogue again, changing it. I like to see how it looks after everything was set up. Then wrap it and happy time to publish online. Sort of, because I have to slice the pages and dialogues to make a whole mobile version. Yeah, game development had a great impact in the way I organize a story. I became an organized bastard.
Wow, that's
I almost think that you should put that little script section online when you publish this on the Drunk Duck thing.
Yeah.
Because it's kind of hard to listen to, but I like how she lays it out. So I think, at least for me anyway, I'd like if you would put that point by point part up when you put up the news post.
Yeah, I'll have the whole interview up there. So yeah. Everything.
Oh, okay, cool. Never mind. Shut up, face. Oh,
That's a good breakdown. Actually, it's a good way to do it. Makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, that's fantastic. Her whole interview was that she gave us. Well, that was just a whole treasure trove of knowledge for anyone who wants to be in the industry or do comics or anything like that. Because she is a pro. Not only at doing games, but also a comic pro.
We're both trying not to say something. Shut up, Oz. Shut up.
She's a master of these different disciplines, which is just amazing. And she's given this information to us for free. So hopefully this can help other people, break into the industry, or at least break into related industries. If you want to get into the creative industries, I don't know, like film, writing, doing novels, all that kind of stuff. It's all related, really, isn't it? You know, creating,
Sure.
working on creative projects in the creative industry.
You're not wrapping up the interview, are you? Because you have one question left.
There's one question left. Yeah, I think you need
I
that.
think you
Did I miss out a question? Oh, damn it.
Oh, did you miss
Okay.
one? Oh, you bitch!
Damn it. Oh, there's another question. Okay. What's in the future for King's Club? Will you publish it as it is, do a film treatment and sell the rights, or release it through a publisher, or self-publish and sell that way? Tance!
This first graphic novel will establish King's Club the King's Club series future. I don't like the way I'm doing it now as a print format and digital format at the same time. An online comic and printed comics can't be treated in the same way. At least I can't treat them the same way. I saw two different beasts here. It can work for other creators, but not for me. I'm testing both digital and printed versions. I don't want to kill the online version after the first graphic novel, even with a printed version, but testing the two versions will give me the necessary feedback to check what the most well-received version is. I have some tricks up my sleeve and an agent, and I'll use both to find a good publishing house for King's Club. I don't want to do it by myself. I prefer someone helping me with the promotion. I have a game to finish, and a comic publisher will save me some time. I'll bring on board in parentheses, famous editor buddy who I worked with before to edit this first graphic novel. Surprise, surprise, it will be revealed later. It's interesting that you mentioned a movie because I have more contact with this kind of thing than many artists could have. But I have never thought about a movie. Well, if a contract comes to me, fine. But when I created King's Club, I only had the comic in mind. The game is being a nice bonus for this IP. Okay,
Yeah,
and that's it.
intellectual property.
Okay. Okay. Good. I wouldn't have understood that.
Yeah, I went to
and that's it.
Yeah.
All the 13 questions were answered. And sorry for the text voice. And feel free to cut, reduce, or use the parts you think are relevant. We used everything.
Yeah.
Thank
We
you.
used everything. There was no word of yours wasted. Mwah, mwah. And
Horns
she
and
sounds
hooves.
like-
We used it all.
I heard, yeah. I kind of wish she would have come on and read this because I think she gives herself less credit for her English than deserved.
Yeah.
But yeah, that was good. Yeah.
Very, very cool. Very interesting.
Yeah. I
Real
hope
stuff, real talk.
It does get picked
Real
up as a
tough.
film because it's a pretty cool story, and it's the kind of thing that works as, you know, those tight action films. It's a limited amount of characters, you know, happening within. You know, you've got this very dire kind of situation. There's guns and, you know, death and all that kind of stuff. And these gangster things really work well in a movie. So
I like guns and death.
you're American, of course you do. You're in Trump's America.
Shut up.
This is King's Club, the movie. I've got to keep my heart rate elevated for the next 90 minutes or I'll die.
Yeah, Baines, I think you could
That's how they change it.
tip to adapt the script. That's excellent.
I think so, yeah.
King of Hearts, Baines.
King of fart. King of fart.
All right.
All
well,
the maple syrup.
Yay!
thank you so much,
Fighting.
Amelia P, for agreeing to
Awesome,
to
man.
do this thing with us. Fantastic.
Little hats.
And for Baines and Pitt and Tance for being Amelia P for this Quackcast.
I'm gonna go to sleep.
It was a pleasure.
Oh, cool. All right.
It was a pleasure. This was fun.
was
I would
great.
like to hear more of this kind of thing pretty soon. Sorry. Nobody
Yeah.
cared if you thought it was fun, Baines. Nobody cared.
That's true.
Yeah, we'll do it more. There are other people who aren't comfortable about being interviewed on live, but they're definitely good writers. So we'll try and chase up them. Like Iron Scarf would be a good candidate for this.
Ooh,
Yes.
I'm curious about the man behind the scarf.
How long is his neck?
Did you know
The
I never
Iron Man.
listened? What was that?
The Iron Man behind the scarf.
That's right. Exactly.
And what was that pit? You haven't really.
Never. Just don't even think about it. Never.
You never do that. That's shocking. I would never have guessed that.
Oh, go home.
All right. Thank you guys for being on the Quackcast. And
Congrats.
adios.
Adios. Vaya con Dios.
Konbanwa.
Konnichiwa. All right. Sayonara. That's the proper one.
Sayonara.
Yes.
Domo arigato, Mr. Roboto. Oh, cut that out. Don't do that. It's going to hurt you if you do.
Sayonara is like forever. Like it's